Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Delenn Russell streaming Minecraft from Dadcraft73's Java patron server. So today we are just going to do a little bit more of the prepping for our library book, which will probably end up becoming a bit of a trading village as a whole. But we can see in the background, in the distance there, that we have laid that out in the frame, and this time today we are going to be doing some tree chopping and some fence making so that we can actually get the layout built inside for putting the villagers in. Today we're going to start with just chopping up the oak trees while we chit-chat a little bit, so that we can be laying some of the flooring. So in the meantime, while we were offline, I've done a bit more running around, nothing super exciting. I mean, we just have much more melon chopping and much more trading with villagers. So I finally got myself a diamond sword, and I've got myself a diamond axe. And then we've got another regular axe without silk touch and mending on it, just to use that puppy up. I've got a whole ton of stone tools that I picked up from the trading villagers. It was not the world's greatest idea, but you know, you've got to start somewhere. And been through a couple of minor changes. Just sleep through the night here. Oh, a little bit early. Okay. So a couple of minor changes. All of the gear has mending on it, and have not yet managed to successfully roll a villager that's going to give me unbreaking, but that will be going on there. I do intend to upgrade the protection, even if I end up having to buy more of the gear and stick it together, or if I can manage to eventually roll some villagers that will give me better stats for my gear. So, we've got, don't have any going on right now, but what I was doing is when I was trading the villagers, I was smelting down all of the useless iron tools to get nuggets, just so a little bit of recycling there. But we can see that we've got 9 of these barrels up in the ceiling. That's just the junk stuff that was coming from trading so that we can use it up. Let's see, we've got more shovels than you can shake a stick at. And yeah, there's some diamond hose and some shields. Yeah, I made a couple of mistakes with bells, so if anybody local wants a bell, that's fine. And then we've got diamond or stone hose, and there's some more space for some more junk. But at least it freed up some of my chests to start with. So when I logged off last time, I got into chatting before I got myself out of the game, and ended up with a couple of zombies kicking around that were wearing gold gear. So that means we've got a place to start if I have to go to the Nether and actually be around piglins. So yeah, got some boots to work with, but I mean, it's not critical because I don't really intend to be spending a lot of time near them, because we have our lovely server mate Brian has put together some roof portals for us so that we can actually avoid a lot of that mess. Excuse me just one second, I'm gonna hydrate quickly. Alright, and we're back. Sorry for staring at walls while we're doing that. So I'm still fighting the cold that I've been having for quite a while. Every once in a while you may hear a bit of a sniff. It's not intentional. I am trying to make myself not do that on stream, but it's something I tend to forget. So, okay, where were we? So yeah, we've got the library laid out, which I will just do a real quick tour in. I've moved all my sugarcane over here. Just, it's not meant as anything more than villager trading fodder, so I don't really need what do you call it? An automatic farm. But that means that I don't have to go over and hear, you know, whoever's trapped underneath there, the Enderman, I suppose, and see him face to face. And I've swapped up the minimap swapped up the minimap that I had for Journey Map instead of the Zeros series. Just wanted a bit more of an all-in-one, and the perk on this one is that when I show you the map, for the world, I can actually see the mobs on there, so I know if something's gone a little bit awry while I've been working away. So you can see that we've got this laid out. Today's plan is going to try and put in the flooring. If we can get enough of the oak chopped, I think I'm going to go with oak stripped logs for flooring and then birch for the fencing to hold the villagers in. And then we're intending to put a bone meal roof on, so unlikely we'll get to that in this stream, but if we do, then we'll need to be taking some trip over to Brian's skelly spawner and do a little bit of chopping up so that we can get some more of the bone meal blocks. And just pure convenience-wise, while I'm over here, I might as well get the sheep. I haven't really been using these guys for much lately. I mean, we're going to need them for villager beds, but also I've got a shepherd in the library building that's with the villagers right now, and I just use the wool at this point in the game mostly for the odd emerald extra. I mean, why not? It's free and low on the effort scale. Alrighty. Bat. Oh, that's interesting. Wonder where you came from, sir. There's probably a couple holes I haven't managed to patch over yet. That's okay. Alrighty, so let's get into it. Before we get too far here, I'm just going to take a quick stop and see who we've got in stream to say good morning to. So it looks like we can say good morning to Fantastic Sherlock Fox and possibly Six Flags Magic Mountain. Good to see you. Hopefully your days are going well. So this is Dadcraft73's patron server. And, good morning, Brian. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, this is Brian Good Luck Have Fun. Different than Stoner Miner, so I'm going to try and remember to keep the names separate, but if I do make a mistake, feel free to request clarification at any point in time. Aha! Bone meal! Right. It takes bone meal to make bone meal. Long term. Kinda hard to go do chop them trees if you don't have bone meal to make them grow. Yay. Where do we put that? In here. There we go. Let's take those. Do I have any... Oh. That one's in here. No. Saw a spider in my office today. I think I managed to shoo it away, but in any case, I'm not a fan of spiders in real life, and so that had me a little bit freaked out this morning. Not a big deal, but I just now thought I had it crawling on my hand because it was tickling weird, but it turns out no. I'm unfortunately just shedding hairs, so that's not anything to worry about. Yeah, oh, more bone meal than you can shake a stick at. That's okay, it'll do. Okay. So I was thinking about good places to leave messages. And if you want to get hold of me, I'm always findable on Dadcraft73's patron server. But if you... Patron server, I mean his Discord server, sorry. But if you wish to leave a message to me directly, once again, you can reach me at Gmail. But you can also hop on over to YouTube and grab one of the video-on-demand playbacks. I've archived them over there. And you can either make a comment on just the most recent one, or any one that you feel is relevant to what you were interested in talking about. So let's start with the birch here. I know those are mostly for the fences, and I probably should have started with the oak, so I will switch over to that after we chop this particular tree down. Okay. Alright. So, what the aim of the library would be to get... Come on, there we go. Would be to get as many of the various different types of books as we can. I won't be probably too critical about what level we've got. The higher the better, of course, but if I end up with, say, efficiency 4, then for a decent price, I may not be too fussy about whether or not I've got efficiency 5. A lot of that boils down to how much space we have in the library. So by the time we get everybody rolled up, would have been nice if there was a P-Touch labeler or something similar for Minecraft, but you know, that's not something that they've put in the game. So instead, we have a zillion shovels. Okay. Instead, we have signs, so we're going to be making up some signs as we go, and those will probably be birch as well, just for pure clarity. And you are in the way. If I actually put a tree in the right spot, it might help. I wonder if I can do... I've never tried a super oak, so I don't think it's going to work, but, you know, sometimes it's experiment. Nope. It's not something that's going to work. That's okay. We can do it this way. Oh, whoops. Don't want to be in the tree. There, now we can get in. We actually want to get anything done. So this morning, I really wanted to sleep in like everybody else. I mean, it's one of those things where it felt like a Monday kind of day. It certainly was not a Monday, but it felt like it wanted to be. And did not want to get out of bed this morning. This bug has got me kind of wound up, wrapped up. Spent a little bit of time awake in the night, coughing and stuff. Looking forward to it being over. At least once a year I get a pretty nasty head and chest sinus cold kind of thing. I'm not too bothered about it. But, so if the voice may go in and out a little bit and you'll get a little bit more silence than usual, just tend to dry out quicker and sound a bit more gravelly and nasally and all those wonderful things. But on the other hand, it does give you plenty of time in between sessions at Minecraft to think about Minecraft and to think about playing Minecraft. Ooh. Okay, well, it's alright, we've got a shovel. So while I could definitely do this faster with a hoe, and I probably will go and get one of those diamond hoes. I just figured since I had them on me, I would start with yeah, whatever. I would start with the stone tools just because I had them. Oop. Hello. Let's try a straight line. There we go. Alright, leave those there for a second while I go and get a tool to clean down the leaves. Yesterday's stream was, we had a Whatever Wednesday, and for Whatever Wednesdays, for a little while at least, we're going to be playing some of the Planet Zoo, which... And I might as well grab a pick because I have a zillion of them. I have already traded for a slightly better diamond pick, but I just figured I'd leave the shovel and the pick behind just because I had so many of the extras. Pardon me. Okay, not what I wanted there, but that's alright. So, as you can see in the Faithful Tweaks pack, I've added... There we go again. Set bedtime. Sorry, as you can see in the Faithful Tweaks pack, I've added a minor mod that gives you another growth stage to the saplings. It just helps me to see what the progress is as we're going along here. I'd like to not actually be in the video once. That would be very, very nice. Let's take this out of the road. But yeah, it's been giving me a lot of time to think about the library and get it going. I have not actually come up yet with a design for the typewriter I was thinking about, but Fantastic Sherlock Fox and I were discussing it last night, and okay. And he had a couple of neat suggestions that might involve a little bit more effort, but we'll just see what happens with that. There we go. Yes, a little faster. So we'll have to see about that one, because I'm not super familiar with working with pistons and redstone. I've done a lot of very, very basic things with them. So I'm debating whether or not to go with the suggestion that it gives a much more functional keyboard. There we go. It's definitely a much more functional keyboard than just looking good, but I don't know what my skill level's like to see how much fiddling I want to do with it. Doesn't say that we won't, but definitely it's one of those things I have to put a little bit more brain power to. There we go. And one more. See if I can do this without being in a tree this time. There we go. I don't want to be in this tree. Brian says, I like your tree growing style. I prefer to farm a lot of the straight trunks than I do farm the large variation of oaks. Yeah, I actually don't really have a favorite way of chopping trees. It's just simply do it and get it over with. Sometimes this growing them in a row thing is more my style. Other times I like going round and round in circles. But head cold, I've been more susceptible than usual to the motion sickness elements of the game by side-to-side motion. That's kind of, I should say, it's all spinny. And that doesn't work too well when you're trying to chop trees in a circular motion. So I figured I'd try and switch to the linear style and see how well that did. It does seem to work out at the moment that we're getting relatively similar height trees. Because that plays in, there we go. That plays in our favor. The other one of those other to-dos I just haven't bothered with yet is to try and find a piece of bamboo. I'm sure there's probably other server mates I could very kindly lean on for that, but just one of those haven't got around to it yet elements. We have this with this hub and rail system that's been going in the Nether. We can get lots of places really easily without having ourselves bothered by other mobs. You know, that's one of the perks to the Java, being able to build on the roof. Disadvantage at the moment, for me at least, is that I have not spent the time to find out where the hole downwards is into the main section of the Nether. So there's a few shopping items that I should pick up from in there that I just haven't bothered to yet. But how that relates is that I haven't got myself any any of the nether quartz yet, and that means that making observers for auto farms, or even something simple like bamboo, is not an option just yet until I grab those things. Pistons, to get them to break, is perfectly fine. So I could do that without too much trouble. But the observers, to get it to do it without player interaction, is not on the card quite yet. I am doing things a little bit backwards, one way or the other. But hey, it gets the job done. And it's a slightly different playstyle than I usually run with. I find I spend so much more time slowly getting things like basic farms built and so on, that I actually lose out on a lot of the opportunities for builds. So this time I decided I would start with the builds angle and just scrape through as necessary, at least to start with. I mean, once we've got some builds that are reasonable locales for putting some of the farms inside of, because I'm sure there will be some hollow space inside, then I don't have any problem with moving on to... I don't think I'm so close. I don't have any problems moving on to building some of those farms. More useful ones will be an iron farm. a bit of a pain in the backside leveling up villagers without one, just because some of the more useful villager types will take iron and trade you for emeralds as part of their leveling process, but I didn't have any, so yeah. That was a bit of a drawback. I mean, it can be done. That's part of how I ended up with quite so many stone tools. And the number of pieces of watermelon I've eaten in lieu of buying golden carrots was rather astronomical, simply because I keep forgetting to use the Silk Touch axe and mining the melons. And of course that's going to get you to the pieces rather than the whole melon. And I mean, it's not trash, but it's definitely very inefficient. So I figure rather than spending emeralds on food at that point, I would just use those ones or use the melon pieces for the food instead. Yep, I agree with you, Brian, that I kind of like the survival-ish element of it. I mean, it's not necessarily a realism factor per se, but I'm not one who wants to store up a lot of stuff in advance, particularly not early in the game. The other thing is, I like the feeling that what I come up with, I've earned it. So as quickly as I could get out of the iron armor that was very kindly, the materials for which were very kindly donated by a Secret Santa, I have that in my storage for backup, but as soon as I could get out of it, I did. I mean, everybody loves diamond armor a little bit more for its perks of durability and such, but it also was one that I felt that I had traded the villagers up to myself, so I felt that I had kind of earned it, even though I didn't necessarily go and mine for diamonds. And I did that a little backwards this time, didn't I? Okay. Dirt time. Oops. So yeah, I felt that I'd earned it, and that just felt a little bit better. I'm also behind, you could say, by one set of diamond armor, only in that I did lose a set that I had borrowed for the dragon fights. In the end, when I made a minor oopsie on bridging, and managed to step backwards right off the edge of the bridge and off the edge of the island, and died in the void. Which, I mean, it wasn't a big deal. A lot of that isn't a big deal, usually. But at this stage of the game, when I'm grinding for everything myself, losing something like a bucket, when I was building that out of the nuggets that I was getting, it was a little bit of a grind again, but it was definitely doable. Sometimes I wish that the villagers would let you trade to the maximum number of emeralds you have, as opposed to limiting the number of trades you've got. So for example, when I was trading up the iron items, the villagers, of course, for a lot of those axes and so forth, they'll stop at 12, or some of them seem to stop a little lower depending on what I've done. And so that means that every 12 items I could get some nuggets, which was not exactly super efficient on my smelting materials, as in I went through the coal pretty fast. But I'm not too fussed about that, because I mean, we can make things out of charcoal, and it just, once again, takes a little bit more effort to chop down the trees for that. I will eventually be actually mining, like getting a real mine, so to speak. But to begin with, when I was in a pinch, I was starting with the caves, and even in leather armor, I was getting, dying far more than I felt comfortable with. Having played my Bedrock season, my combat abilities here are still kind of, they're getting better, but they were a little bit weak to begin with. For example, like, you can't spam your sword as, I mean, you can wave it all you want, but in terms of actual hits, you won't connect a whole lot in Java. But going the opposite direction in Bedrock, when you crouch, your shield blocks. But this doesn't happen in Java. If you right-click to block, which is fine, you can still crouch and all that, you cannot left-click for an attack. So that's something that you could be doing in Bedrock that I missed a lot, is being able to sort of block while at the same time spamming the heck out of your sword. So some people figure that's a little bit cheaty, but I mean, I'd say that it's balanced off by some of the mobs being a little more difficult to take on. One of the sort of running gags, I guess you could say, is that the Bedrock Wither is no joke. Far more so than the Java one. Now, I wouldn't know about that personally because I've never done it. I don't particularly have any urge to do that. If somebody wants an auto wither farm, then by all means go for it, but not my cup of tea. But that doesn't mean that, you know, it's not useful. I'm just not a beacon person, and that's really the only use I can see for withers aside from the experience of doing it. That said, I had a blast doing Dragon Fight on the weekend. That was tons and tons of fun. I would do that again in a heartbeat, and probably try varying techniques. We did just go at it with swords and arrows and that sort of thing, but I would like to at some point to get a chance to play around with maybe using snowballs against some of the crystals, or to try maybe blowing up the dragon successfully with a bed. We did try that at one point, but unfortunately one of our other server mates, the resulting effect was he went through quite a number of totems, saving his hide over and over and over. So that was not high on his list, I'm assuming. Alright, just trying to dump off some of the junk I've got in here, just give me a little bit more space. We'll come back to apples I don't need right now. I have more bone meal than I need at the moment. Let's put some of that away. When we get to about 3 stacks, I think I'm going to take a break and go and put some of these into the flooring space in the library to start to see how that looks. Because I'm looking at doing sort of an alternating strip log pattern. So something a little bit parquet-esque. And curious to see how that's going to turn out. Usually I don't do something decorative with a whole block like that if I can avoid it, simply because by doing most of it survival style, then with the materials I end up running into needing more. What's the word? What am I doing that for? Running out of materials, I should say. Pardon me. And so if you can do it cheaper with if you can do it cheaper with slabs, that's what I usually do. But this time I figured, no, we've got the time, we've got the space. That's another one. We're storing enough materials that we might as well go with it and just try something a little different. I guess that's the big theme this season, is trying something different, trying something that I don't normally do. I'm not attempting to change my playstyle, but I would like to try doing things a little differently. So we have a couple of server mates on server live today, so they may pop with a comment here and there, and that's perfectly okay with me. Oops, excuse me, just 1 second. Alright. Just need a little clearing there. Let's see how much we can get out of this one. And then we'll head back over to the layout and see what we've got. Okay, so yeah, it's actually, I'm glad to hear that you're playing with family. That's something I kind of miss. Some of the other games I play are partly because my kids like to play them. We don't always play together, but it gives us some good discussion. So I'm glad to hear that you're playing with your nieces. Hopefully they're enjoying it. Are they I don't like to ask, but roughly how old are they? I'm just curious to know when they got into this particular world. Stoner Miner, thank you very much for the tip about the wither. It's if I decide I need something from the wither, I may try that, but it's not something I'm itching to do. Though I hear that particular ability to stick a wither underneath the portal in the end, or under the platform, I guess, is something that may not remain for too much longer. I'm hearing conflicting reports as to whether or not it works or doesn't work. And then there's those that just claim it doesn't work simply because they don't want to. So, you know, there's all kinds of explanations going on. And I tend just to turn a deaf ear to it because, as I mentioned, I don't really have a need for beacons and the like. It's not that I want to slow everything down. It's that if I'm going to fall in holes and get into trouble, or get nauseous from the motion being too fast, then it's just not worth the trouble. If I can get the efficiencies going on axes and pickaxes, then it's really about all I need. Okay, so I will say one of the pet peeves I've got about Minecraft is that in order for leaves to despawn, you need to completely disconnect them from all logs, which is great, but then when you've got logs hiding inside your trees, then it's a bit more of a pain to try and get everybody connected. And it had also not occurred to me till just now, I'm feeling a little bit silly for it actually, that unintentionally the quote-unquote trick that DC likes with regards to building great big oak trees, or great big any other trees really, but the big oak ones, does seem to apply. Doesn't necessarily mean you need to have torches beside you. It could even just be something like, oh, did I break it? No. Something like sand, leaves, anything beside you that interrupts where the tree is trying to decide if it spawns. It doesn't necessarily care during the spawning math what it is you've got beside you. It just means that the tree can't grow there. And so when it figures out its spawning mechanics, its spawning location for the leaves and the branches and so on, it takes that into account. So when I grow things in a big long row like this, I'm gonna get super large trees every once in a while, and rather strange looking ones. But yeah, it would be really nice if the leaves would despawn without having to be disconnected from everything else, or at least disconnected from a base stem would be nice, and then you can see the floating blocks to figure out where things got to. There we go. Where did I start? At the other end. Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that they're a little bit older than my kids. I've got one in 3rd grade, and I've got one in 5th grade in Canada, so our grades are very similar to the Americans. And my son doesn't particularly like the survival mechanics. He can deal with it. Part of his thing is that every once in a while, as boys seem to, he wants to blow stuff up. That's his thing. So he likes creative for that aspect. Whereas my daughter prefers creative because she can build anything that she wants with any of the blocks right away. Doesn't have to wait until she's got access to them, and doesn't have, they don't have unlimited time to be able to play the game. So they like to be able to have the materials early, without the time spent gathering as much as they want for a build. It also makes it easy for people to repair, say, for example, my daughter's or son's builds if one of my son's explosions goes awry. That has happened on a couple of occasions. And then for briefly, we had a server where we had some friends involved, my kids' friends, and one of the people just refused to show up when they found out that it was going to be a survival server and they weren't getting what they needed. One of the other players decided to try griefing because I don't know why he thought that was interesting, but so when we switched it to creative, this more grief youth basically up and took off, and that was fine by us because for other reasons we needed to remove him from our whitelist. So that's how it worked. But I mean, I'm glad your nieces are enjoying it. My son plays Valheim with my brother, so I'm with his uncle, and that was a gift for his birthday last year. And so the two of them meet up approximately, sometimes once every couple of weeks, sometimes once a month. But they're having fun with that, and that's part of how they play with the grown-ups, I guess you could say. So I don't get as much chance to play with them because they're doing their thing. So I'm glad to see you've got some time that you can share with them and they can play together. It's always a challenge when you're trying to explain the etiquette to the kids, that moving things or changing things without permission of that particular player can offend them and upset them. We initially didn't have too much problem with that. I mean, my kids get along fairly well with each other, but it started a little bit when people were attempting to be helpful, but they didn't understand that it was helpful that the person they were trying to help wasn't really looking for. The other thing is that there are a few differing views as to whether or not certain animals can be removed from this world, shall we say, and so my son and I don't frankly care whether or not. Did I just get? Oh, okay. Don't frankly care whether or not we are killing sheep or something because we need it in the game. At the time, I didn't have shears, and my daughter was quite offended. So. You live, you learn. Yeah. The other thing that's interesting is sometimes when at least in our experience, when I started trying to explain what etiquette was in terms of at least for our server, in terms of what you can and can't do to other people and so on. The challenge is also that sometimes if it doesn't make sense to a kid, they may view it as a rule that was arbitrarily set by an adult, which may or may not be adhered to. And so they don't always necessarily see us following the same rules as them. So the other thing is, because as adults sometimes we do things a little bit faster in game, we end up with access to things a little bit quicker than they do, and that can result in either having us saving their skin a lot, which by comparison our house doesn't do a ton of anymore, but it can end up in that, or it can end up in a bit of an attitude of entitlement. Now, I suspect your nieces are not in that vein, and most of the time my kids aren't in that vein. They know that mom just won't help in some of these areas. But on the other hand, if they're legitimately stuck in a spot, I'll usually come and bail them out. It's just that when they expect me to bail them out because they've gone charging in incredibly unprepared, they usually end up with an earful. It's something that I'm trying not to do, but my frustration can sometimes win out. So, yeah, I have a lot to learn about how to coach inside games. But the other thing is, I mean, my own skills aren't that hot in a lot of areas too, so if I make a mistake and wasn't able to rescue them, then such is life, I suppose, but it can frustrate them quite a lot too. It's funny, the phrasing we have in our house my daughter came up with it actually, was if I kill a sheep, what actually happens is the sheep doesn't die. It teleports away to another world that's not in the Minecraft world. And so basically you forced it to teleport like an Enderman. But you'll never see it again, sort of thing. I'm not quite sure why she prefers that view, but no skin off my back to follow it, so whatever. Ooh. Yeah. I made that exact same mistake actually on this server the first day I logged on. I was trying to find a good spot for a base and I went, ooh, underwater broken portal, this will be easy. And I went over and yeah, not so much. The drowns just with their lovely little pokey forks decided that they were otherwise. Okay. So I lost all the stuff I'd had at that point to the drowns and their danger forks. And then after that, I was on my way back to what became the village that I've got now. And I came across that death and I just sort of went, oh, I wonder who died here. And it took me a second to realize that was me. So I picked up half the stuff. Yeah. It took a second, but I resisted the urge to sing for that one. When people talk about danger forks with the undersea drowned, I have a funny tendency to get stuck in my head the old Spider-Man theme song, because it works pretty well with the words danger fork. So yeah, there's that one. Man. So yeah. Let's see, Spider-Man. So I just looking at some of these Pretzel Rock songs go by and I'm thinking, some of these are really strange titles. I'll have to listen to more of that later. This morning I just put it on the surprise me list just to see what we get, because usually it's pretty good stuff, but I do keep it on the instrumental setting so I can guarantee that there isn't any nasty lyrics that I'm aware of. But when I play, I actually turn off the music for myself. I find it makes the game sounds clearer. So, there we go. If all else fails and you want to get my attention and you're a server mate, in-game works pretty well. At the moment it's a lot of rinse and repeat, and I had said that I was going to get another stack of wood and then go start installing, so let's do that since I ran out of... PP Zerk's getting voluntold. Okay, no, I don't think I need anything here. So let's put these away and those away. Apples, sticks. Nothing I think I need right now. Alright. So let's take a run over to the library. And see where we're at. Oh. It's useful to try and dig up the floor without a shovel. I left over here. I think I broke it. Broke the shovel. Yeah, with Minecraft, when I'm just doing a lot of grindy back and forth work, I sometimes will leave the music on or put on somebody else's Twitch stream or other music, but... Oops, where are these spoons? There we go. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Do I have any... Nope, I don't think I have any stone axes I need to get rid of. No, we should be good. Okay. So I usually put on some other sounds like that, but also I can get into a mode where things are really quiet and just the ambient noises are great, and next thing I know I've got a zombie smacking me in the face because I didn't remember to turn up the mob sounds. So, it's one half dozen of the other, I suppose, but it's kind of nice to have So you can see on my mini-map that there's actually quite a lot of mobs kicking around here. And truth is, they are actually below the surface. I closed in a lot of the little holes that we had. You can see some of the leftover dirt that hasn't turned into grass yet. So they're probably hanging around mostly under me. I mean, considering the number that keeps showing up of Endermen, I sometimes wonder if I've got like a favorite little hole that's about 6 or 7 blocks high. Would not be surprised if I find one during this process. Oh, that's the direction I want to go. Let me go this way. Yep, that would be it. Nope, sorry, sir. I do not want to look at you today. You can just take a hike. Oh, he's stuck in the ground. Well, in that case, let's liberate him. You can be mad all you like. Let's see. There we go. Excellent. All right. Yeah, I've got. I actually happen to have a dual monitor set up on my computer here, and got lucky in that when I bought Minecraft for when I bought Minecraft originally, the Java version, they had a promotion going on where it came with the a code for the Windows version and Bedrock at the same time. And then of course things went so that you could get cross-platform, and that was the point at which I stopped using my iPad to play Minecraft. I tried it a little bit again last year and just once again could not get back into the groove of using either a controller or my fingers to play. I think I'm going to have to try and get back that ability at some point, but particularly the controller one, because then I can actually even play the Java version when I'm not. Here we go. Okay, so the worst part about placing these in the alternating pattern is just that it takes so incredibly long to do. I don't know what it is about the controllers. I like the idea of playing Minecraft with the controller, just because it's a bit more flexible, I guess. Also, because I've got remote desktop software for my laptop and iPad, I could even play the... Hello? Okay. I could even play the Minecraft Java version via the remote desktop and then the controller and so forth. It's one of those low priority items. I'm starting to think for some of the materials this season it might actually just be easier for me to end up negotiating passes to the various farms rather than build things myself. We'll have to see. A lot of it will depend on what I think I want experience in building. Okay. I'm just going to put in one more row of blocks, then we'll strip them up and see how they look. Let's go this way. There we go. Probably end up running into that cave again that I saw with the Enderman going the other direction. Yep. Yuck. But it's kind of fun to be able to watch Twitch on another screen of any sort, whether it be your iPad or your phone or, tablets of any sort. Or, it's really kind of fun to have something in the background, because every once in a while we can get caught jumpy by someone else who's playing Minecraft as well. and I've jumped a few times when an explosion or an enderman or whatever has come up and realized that it wasn't me, which is sort of nice. But I mean, the reverse has happened as well, where I thought it wasn't me, and somebody was doing something in a Twitch stream. Unfortunately, it was, and repairs ensued, but you take your lumps if you're going to watch something different. I kind of wish, to be honest with you, that Minecraft, like some other games do, would have a folder of sorts where you could upload your own music or upload your own soundtracks, just sort of to play natively in-game. Okay, let's see how this looks. Yeah. Not sure I'm liking this look. I like the twist, but one block might not be big enough. I might have to go too wide before I make the turnaround. Let's get down to the end and see. Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny. I haven't actually paid for pretzel rocks yet, and I'm not sure if I will, but I just used the Surprise Me layer, which the channels they have free are a lot of sort of house vibe, ambient kind of stuff, and I quite like some of the built-in ones that they've got, such as like I would at some point look at the electro swing, for example. I tripped over electro swing as a genre. I don't know if it was last year or a couple of years ago. In any case, I didn't quite like it, but I believe someone who's more familiar with it can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not looking at it right now, but I believe that might be one of the channels that is locked until I choose to pay for it. So, but yeah, in the meantime, I've just asked it to surprise me, and it's been doing a relatively good job. So I figure, why complain? Okay, so let's try a 2 and 2 and see what we get. 1, 2. 1, 2. This one. Pretty sure what that direction would be. Oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. Okay. Get 2 by 2 that way. Oh, not dirt. Let's see what that looks like. Not sure which one I like better. I think I like the original one where I was doing one each direction. So let's pull the dirt out and just get that cleaned up. I know I had it recommended to me at some point that I could try doing, what's it called? Playing some stuff from Spotify, partly because I have an account there, but I just found that making sure you don't end up with copyright issues was more trouble than it was worth. So, yeah. So I decided just to go with, for now, the service that is a little easier to manage in terms of not having to think about what's safe. But I do feel that whenever possible, not only should they have attribution, because they don't have a whole lot of chat, that gets to be a little bit cumbersome with every single song. But at some point, I think I might actually start paying for it just so that I don't have to worry about having bots. We're not allowed to actually turn the attribution bot off until we've paid for the service. There we go. Okay. And back we go again. Oops. Yep, that's right. So, log. Some of this repetitive work will be done off stream afterwards. It's just that I don't want to. I like doing a lot of this sort of stuff because this is what I would play anyways, and I find it calming. Oh, and I forgot to bring the birch fences. Oh well. Yeah, Stoner Miner, it's kind of interesting. I find your farm styles very interesting that it is calming for you. I just haven't yet gotten to a point where working on farms that I haven't got sort of down pat and memorized, where there's a chance that things could break. I haven't yet got to the point where building those is calming for me. I mean, maybe I will at some point. I'm hoping I will at some point. But that hasn't happened yet. Now, I mean, I guess the exception being really vanilla farms such as manual villager wheat harvesting, or not manual, sorry, auto villager wheat harvesting, or auto villager, carrots and so on. But I guess the other kind I don't mind building is like an automatic bamboo farm or an automatic sugarcane farm, but just keeping those in small scale. It's actually interesting when it becomes an architecture feature that they're large. That definitely does work. Some players really do go gangbusters on those, and more power to them. I've seen some of Stoner Miner and Silgrimper's builds in the past that have been absolutely massive, like amazing and massive. Even though the construction behind it is relatively simple. I mean, as Watson from the Sherlock Holmes stories would say, that it seems deceptively simple when it's all explained, but until then it's nigh on science or magic. Magic, I believe. It's not a direct quote, but that's more the impression than anything else. And there's a lot of days I feel like a bubbling Nigel Bruce version of Watson to some of these builds around here. Yeah, following YouTube vids is actually handy, starting and stopping and so on. I probably will end up doing something like that when I get around to putting an iron farm in. I do have a version that I think I've mostly memorized, but I may actually go back to the video that I used for it originally, these two are crooked. Used for it originally, just so that I make sure I don't miss any of the elements. I don't remember whose farm it was I was using, but I think I borrowed the final design from Avamance, I think, in terms of combining a small farm with an iron farm. The disadvantage this season for me to do that would be that it ends up not fitting so well into other builds, and I also have to put the iron farm up high this time, which was not part of my original plan. I like being able to put things on the ground. For me, that works better in the realism department. But I've got enough, as we've seen, enough little holes and caves and so forth that I would fairly quickly end up with poor spawn rates of the golems because they aren't in the correct place. Let's see, let's go back. That looks dizzyingly automated. Okay. There we go. Remembering to eat, yes. High on the list. Alright. Here we go. Back and forth and back and forth. I think I got them? I probably also have one or two where the unstripped row is going the wrong way with comparison to the partially stripped row. The other thing about having mobs that regularly spawn, pardon me, below me, is that every once in a while I can hear a lot of mobs that just aren't really there. So they have a tendency to sneak up on me before I realize that it's actually the real deal. So I need to see if I can tweak some of my mapping stuff not to show me the guys underground, and that way I can just double check easily. But that's more of a lazy factor, I guess, than anything else. Okay. Whoops. Can't strip the ones you can't see. There we go. No. Oh, did it again. There. What are we doing for... Oh, got enough that we can probably do one or two more rows. This one, thank you. Okay. Yeah, that's not going to go. Speed. There we are. A little bit busy. Still not sold on that look. Oh well. Try something else. This is gonna confuse me royally, but that's okay. I actually think I like that better. So, Brian GLHF, when you do your 2 blocks in a row, do you do them in more of a square format? As in 2 up and 2 across? Or do you do them more of a zigzag style where you've got them offset like this? Oh look, okay, offset like this one. I think I'm liking the offset look better. Oops, that was right. Whatever. Something more like that. Yeah, I think it's the same sort of pattern, but it makes it a little bit bigger, so it's not quite as tiled. Well, now that I've got some of these logs, let's just move them on out. Yeah, last crazy floor I did wasn't even all that crazy. I just had used a bit of creative and went after some of the glazed terracotta patterns and just sort of the one that's kind of got like a quarter of a flower on there, and then did sort of a teal border around a group of 4 of those blocks, and then the teal that was, I think it was actually terracotta that I picked up, and yeah, and the teal in that case. Too much. What am I doing here? Yeah, and the teal in that case, ordered it, and then in between on the sort of intersections, I used mushroom lamps, and then other than that, just made the flowers, and on the alternating squares had reversed it so all the flower corners were outwards. Something twisted. Hello, Box. How are you doing today? It was quite cold, and because of that bug I'm still fighting, Fox spoiled me by walking the kids to school for me today. We usually go together, but I was a little under the weather, and so rather than going out in the temperatures, I mean, it's not that bad today. It's probably going to get to be above freezing, at the risk of talking numbers, but just wasn't quite up to it, so I'll pick them up after school. And we're supposed to go delivering flyers today for a bottle drive our scout group is having on the weekend, on Saturday. And hopefully I'll be up to it. I think that'll be okay, because I'm not the one actually going to be walking up to doors to put the flyers on. Yeah, these two are wrong. There we go. I thought I had an even building, but now it looks like we have an odd one. I mean, it's a very odd building, one way or the other. I'm trying to decide, do I want the offset look, or do I want the matched look? That's the decision. So let's do this one and this one. It's fairly quiet, sorry, I shouldn't be getting distracted by the floors here. I don't say much when that happens. Just going to keep it square. Oh. I think I'm going to go square on this one, because I did like the tiled pattern, just bigger. So that'll probably be a little bit easier for me to figure out. And then maybe one of our other builds for an interior, I could do something offset. So I suspect when I've got an Enderman who's hiding over by up in this far direction, hiding underneath my underneath the dirt really near one of the little houses I've got, I suspect he's probably stuck in the dirt in the same way that the one was we had this morning. That might explain why he wasn't teleporting away. Yeah. I'm not quite sure how many how many librarians we're gonna get in here? I think we have 10. 10 going across this way. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, 10 that way. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, and by 10. Okay, so I guess we could have as much as 100 villagers in here. I highly doubt that's going to be the case, because that feels like a lot. But see how ambitious I get. I mean, I can always use the other half for storage or something of that nature. Besides, I can't imagine the hours involved in rolling exactly what I wanted in that one. Oh, that's why it felt odd. Okay. Sir, you need to keep me honest. See you later, Brian. Thank you very much for the picture in Discord. I definitely will have a look and let you know what I thought of it. Have a great day, and hopefully everything will keep going well for you. We can hear the skeletons rattling underneath. There's gotta be some more cheese whiz, or type of sort of Swiss cheese holes going on in the bottom. Cheese whiz, man. That's a horrible chemical slime product. I will admit I used to love cheese whiz when I was a kid, though. They had a saying about, or a jingle where you talked about microwaving it into a sauce, and then you just pour it on top of your vegetables, and they'd show you the person with their oven mitt pouring this cheese whiz slowly out of a jar over top of, like, broccoli or something like that. And I was thinking, you know, if you can get kids to eat broccoli, I'm not necessarily sure if I care if it's, like, cheese whiz Velveeta or just about anything else. They'll eat it. Great. I mean, we're lucky that our kids actually like roasted broccoli. My husband puts a little bit of Italian seasoning, I think, and like just olive oil. Sometimes a little bit of just olive oil and some salt, which works pretty well. But it's funny because, you know, you hear a lot of parents talking about, I just can't get my kids to eat vegetables, especially not things like broccoli. And sometimes what it comes down to is whether or not the parent will eat the stuff. I know for years and years, my father did not like broccoli. And then I discovered why when I was old enough to remember, I guess, that my grandmother absolutely disliked broccoli, so she just would never serve it because she didn't like it. Or when it was served at a restaurant or something, she would push it to the side, and so he just learned that broccoli was yucky because she wouldn't eat it. So my mother was not like that. He had one of those farming families where generally if it's served, you gotta eat it one way or the other, even in a restaurant. And so we had broccoli and such growing up, or Brussels sprouts or whatever, some of the other veggies that people don't like. And and so I've always liked the majority of those sorts of things, and I'm quite glad that our kids do too, because we serve it. Yeah, definitely Stoner Miner. I prefer real cheese when I can get it, and I prefer real cheese in a lot of situations. One of the few advantages to the odd processed item, such as like classic cheese whiz, although that's not as good as it used to be. They've changed the recipe, but one of the reasons I like that for sauces and such, not always, but if you're making something like a taco dip, it's really wrong way. It's not that great if your taco dip suddenly solidifies on you. So classic cheese sauces, I find, have to have a lot of oils or melted butters or something like that to give it the oiliness it needs to not solidify super quick. And while that works, it's not ideal. So, I mean, besides, if I'm going to eat nachos, we really don't eat them all that often in the house, simply because one of us has an allergy to corn products. And so that means that although we consume them, it's not something we have very often because we know that we're going to get some adverse reactions going on. But yeah, I do like cheese, actually. There was a bit of a joke in my house growing up and it seems to perpetuate in our house, that I'm a bit of a cheese monster, and my daughters pick that up as well with certain kinds of cheese. Particularly if you get yourself like a Gouda or mozzarella sometimes. One of the more firm mozzarella's are like the shredded pizza cheese, where, yeah, it's semi-processed, but often it's real cheese that's been machine cut up. Then in that case, like those sorts of things. I'm a huge fan of cheddar. I like actually a lot of cheeses that would have stuff in them. So like fruit or hot peppers or something like that. So like a pepper jack cheese is quite yummy on a lot of things. I do quite like those. My daughter got a couple of years ago, she had a cheese advent calendar at Christmas, but it wasn't her thing just because it had a lot of the fruited cheeses. So we had some that had peaches in it and so forth, and that I didn't know at the time, but that was not something that she likes. She prefers her cheese, just cheese. And not a big fan of the old cheeses. I am, but she isn't. So if we've got older cheddars or something like that, then they're usually mine and not hers. Though we do like feta, which is nice because we do Greek salads in our house a fair bit, and the feta cheese is critical in my mind to making a good Greek salad. My son doesn't like cheese. We're all actually lactose intolerant, strangely enough, so three of us will take something forward if need be, or simply put up with the effects. My son's choice is to avoid the issue altogether by just not eating dairy products in the first place. And his has become more of a flavor textural thing now. So it's not all dairy products. I mean, he will eat a limited amount of ice cream or something, but he will definitely tell you when he's had enough because he gets full easy, which could be related to the gases, or it could just be that there's a mental point that blocks him from eating more, which is fine. But yeah, we tried bocconcini with my son. That was a definite bad experience. It was not something that he could even swallow, so too bad. I don't think my daughter likes the small cheeses like that either, but I think it could be just that at the time they were just too soft and surprised the heck out of her. It's not really sure. Yeah, French cheeses like brie are fantastic. I love the ones that are almost creamy enough to be spreadable. I missed out on a great adventure that my best man had years ago with his wife. They went on a honeymoon, I believe. Anyways, they were in a place in Alberta called Jasper, and they stayed at a lovely hotel, and they wanted to have stuff with crackers and brie as brought into their room. And I guess they ate so much brie that they cleaned out the hotel supply of brie in their hotel. So it was sort of a bit of a gag, a running joke for a while that if we had the brie, we had to keep it away from him. But actually, in our house, Fantastic Sherlock Fox does the vast majority of the cooking, and the vast majority of the by necessity baking in terms of like making muffins and stuff for the kids for breakfast. I prefer baking, but I also prefer to do things from scratch and just generically at a slower pace. So the by necessity cooking and baking is not something I'm particularly into. If Fantastic Sherlock Fox tells me that he finds it to do the cooking usually a bit of a release from his workday, it's something different that helps him disconnect. So I have no argument whatsoever with him doing the cooking. I've done camp cooking a few times when I've been out with my kids, out in the woods, and they've said it's been the best macaroni and cheese they've ever had. Well, it was pouring rain, and it was boxed mac and cheese with a little bit too much rainwater in it, and they thought it was fantastic. But normally they complain and they don't like saucy mac and cheese. Yeah, actually, crockpots, I like those too. The only disadvantage to me for crockpots is just simply that a lot of the crockpot recipes take a while, so there's forethought necessary. I was making a classic white beans with sausage or wiener cut up into it. And normally the thing takes all day, but I'm never really that good at the forethought portion of it. So by the time I get out of bed, or if I'm having a slow morning, I don't even surface from the bedrooms, and like I'll clean and shower or whatever till nearly noon most of the time. So there wouldn't be enough time to get the crockpot dish done before dinner. But I tried doing it in an Instant Pot recently, and most of the stuff I would say is convertible. I just had beans that were too old, and I had forgotten that they had been pre-baked, so I had used my white beans as pie weights. And so the resulting effect was that when I went to do the Instant Pot version of making them go, and I suspect I probably still would have had problems if I did it as a crockpot recipe, but they just would not absorb the water, so they came out undercooked. But I will try that again. I do miss a lot of the crockpot recipes I used to have. The other thing is my kids aren't into casseroles. They're getting better. I mean, they're still getting used to trying new to them things. So we're changing up the recipes every once in a while and looking at a lot of those home favorites. But they're not usually into having combined sauce and food. Although one of the more recent wins is we introduced them to jarred sauce for convenience sake, but we introduced them to butter chicken, like Indian butter chicken, and they're quite liking that. So that's good. Although I think that they prefer the naan bread over the actual main course, but I mean sometimes they'll ask for seconds, which is I consider a good night. But not much. We talk about it, but my kids aren't much into spice. Let me run out of wood. Okay, my kids aren't much into spice, and so when we have foods that we've put a little bit in just to give it some more flavor, unfortunately, every once in a while we have the kids complaining that things are too spicy, and I guess they might be. I really couldn't say. Oh, that's fantastic. Not what I wanted. Hello, bee. Tea soup. I wonder if it's at all. I wonder if your tea soup dish is at all like a French ham and French pea sort of split pea soup. That's one of my favorites as well. A little high on the sodium when I do it that way, but quite yummy. I just have to remember when I'm cutting down these trees to be careful not to hit the beehive. And I really hope I can take down the log next to the beehive. I've never actually thought about that. In all honesty, it didn't occur to me that a beehive would even show up, so that one was a bit of a surprise. I have never had bees or beehives before. I guess I can be storing that one away and getting myself a bee house at some point. Ooh, smoked sausage and veggies. That sounds really, really good. Yeah. And it's one of those ones you could set in your crock pot all day and just let her go. One of the other ones I'm looking forward to making, although it'll probably be just for myself, is my father used to make a sweet bean and ground beef based chili, and then we'd eat it with like baking powder based biscuits and lots and lots of shredded cheese put into the chili at serving time. So that was actually one of my favorites, but last time I made it, I used the wrong crock pot, so to speak. We have one that's oval and that increases the cooking surface, and then this one was made for a 4 to 6 quart crock pot, but the crock pot I had was actually an 8 quart one, so between the oval shape and the additional quarts, I actually burnt the chili because I was following the directions too carefully. Didn't stir it frequently enough to find out that it was actually getting too dry and too warm. So, yeah, mistakes were made. Do I have enough? Ooh, okay. Really cheap. detour time just briefly to grab some more emeralds and then trade up for another axe, because I don't really want to risk running out of the diamond one that has silk touch and so forth on it. Should do. Sure. Let's forget to put the fence back. I don't even mind doing the conversions myself if I need to, Brian, or Stoner Miner. It's definitely interesting enough to put the effort in. So if you don't find an English version, then just toss that one my way anyways, and I'll run her through and see. And if all else fails, I know I've got a South African local friend or acquaintance who can actually translate that for me. She speaks and reads proper Dutch in addition to Afrikaans, so that helps a little bit. 12. Is 12 enough? Maybe not. I can't recall what I've got. I'm trading down. If I can't get a diamond one, then I'll just grab a couple of iron ones. It's not a huge deal. The other thing I always find interesting when I'm trying foreign recipes, like even 19, shoot. And when I'm trying recipes, even 31, wow, what a ripoff. Even English recipes, 16, okay, what do you got there? That the British ones throw me because, of course, they talk often about gas marks, which North American stoves and crockpots and so on definitely don't have gas marks. And the other thing about them is you just say high, medium, and low, which is in our crockpots, and that's fine, but it's how high, how medium are we talking here, you know? And every unit is different, so that one, it's always a bit of touch and go, or not touch and go, what's the word? Always a bit of experimentation. That's what I'm looking for. But for things that taste yummy, if it sounds like your dish does, then it's definitely worth it. Okay, let's just do this one more time, get through. So, some of the server mates have been hearing about that at certain hours of the day, it gets worse, but we have been seeing some lag and some rubber banding, which isn't too bad at this hour, but it can get a little crazy during the North American drive home hours, so probably about maybe about 3-ish, I guess, is when I'm seeing it, Eastern time. Sometimes a little bit earlier, but and what happens is I'll be running down one of these rows, picking up all the melons and pumpkins as I go by, and heading this direction, and then I start chopping something as I go around the corner, and next thing I know I'm chopping out a fence facing this direction again. Which isn't usually a problem. I mean, I can just put things back. It's not, it's not critical. It's just annoying because when I get used to, or when I'm susceptible to motion sickness, and a lot of rubber banding means I end up having to quit the play session early. So, when I intend for a long play session, now that I know that that's a regular occurrence, not just a one-off, then I'll just take some stomach settlers so that it doesn't bother me. So I know server members are trying to reduce the lag as much as they can, and I am too, and I try not to leave messes behind me, and pick up as much as I can when I do things, but nobody's perfect, and sometimes we just leave things, or we're doing something where we've got multiple different people in multiple different dimensions, and whatever it is we're up to in those different dimensions, the server's a bit more sensitive to than usual. I don't often get strange enough. I've only heard it once, and I mean like once ever since I started the season. And but yeah, it definitely gets overcast. So I usually try to give it a quick sleep when it's overcast, just in case. I've only ever heard the thunder once here. Oh, welcome aboard, CJRV Williams. Thank you for the follow. Very much appreciated. So, what I'm up to today just is try to get a few more emeralds. There we go, that should do the trick. Just enough that I can buy myself a new axe without having to ruin the one I've got. And let's click out of you. No discounts yet. Probably because it's late at night. I don't really care. Melons come cheap. Where are we headed? Oh. So, yeah, so I'm thinking about it more. Because I've got the typewriter sort of on the brain, I'll probably try and give that one a bit of a try to come up with some ideas for the mechanism in the way that the keys are going to look on the typewriter build for after we finish the library book. That's something that will be coming up relatively soon. But in the meantime, I need to figure out how to do the arch, to get the arch working. On this one, it'll be a very white roof, or off-colored cream roof, I guess, to have on the roof there. So, I mean, we can always go back and retrofit in some other colors to give it a bit more texture, or put in some blocks to make it actually say something in there. I don't know if it's going to work scale-wise. 17. Oh, 34. I can get what I want. Breaking 2 and Fortune 1. Bad. That, sir. Efficiency 1. Okay, well, you're cheaper. Efficiency 2. For double the price. Good deal. Let's go with efficiency 2. This way. I've got 3. That's fine, I'll save those for later. Back to more tree chopping. Oops. I need the axe. And I wanted shears. There we go. Thanks for dropping by, CJ. I appreciate it, even if you're not able to stay very long. Well, not a whole lot in the way of riveting content today. We are just chopping trees and working on floors. And if we get past the floors, we're building birch fences for penning in villagers inside a giant book. So I figured might as well get the sheep because I can grab a little bit more of the emeralds from the sheep as we go. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this beehive. I can get away with just leaving it there. Well, yeah, okay, good, I'm not getting hit. Move the farm back a little bit further just to prevent hitting it. No, it's not. Use the flowers. Let's replant them for now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoop, whoop, 2, Enderman. I'm hiding underneath, trap with your buddy. Alright. Noting that the dark oak leaves are still out. I should probably go up inside and see what's there. Because I may have left a block or 2 inside. Since they're just refusing to despawn. Oh, yep, there it is. I can see it right there. Is that it? Yep, there we go. You are pokey, come on. There's another one. That's it? Okay, good, that's it. Great. Oh, that must have been a regular oak. I thought I dug up something I didn't need to. regular oak. Okie dokie, bone meal time. Won't be all that long till I'm making a run to the Philly farm just to try and get some more. Oh, I had not noticed that Neon had stuck in. Sometimes I think when new viewers join, need a doorbell of some sort. That would be kind of cool. But I think as people leave and join as their schedule allows, that would probably end up getting pretty annoying pretty fast. Okay. I'm going to get myself stuck in a tree again. I just can feel it. Oh, yeah, almost got that one. Oops. Let's put these down here on the bar. Again. I like it when nature helps. Natural game helps. Yeah. Up we go. New tree. I wonder if there's a difference in how much bone meal it takes. If it's still random every time, or if there's something to be said for how quickly one attempts to apply the bone meal. So whether or not it's actually going to do anything. I should probably look that up at some point. Oops. Try it this way. Up. There we go. You know, all that talk of food is actually starting to make me hungry. Did eat breakfast. You know, not much. I'm not usually into breakfast, though. I had just a scone for breakfast that I picked up from the bakery. But, but not much other than that. And that's okay. But all this talk of food is making me hungry. Okay, beef wrecker. Well, that's far more effective than I expected. Yeah, until you run into a spot. Okay, inside. Wood. I'm sure at some point I'll probably find something I wanted to do with the leaves, and for some reason I wanted to keep them, but at this point it's just trash. I mean, I could probably compost them. That would have made sense. That happens too. That's a thing. We got more spoons that we can shake a stick at, so let's just bash things out this way. And... oh goodness, I think a stick would be faster. Yeah. Okay. That. This will be a season of a lot of firsts, it seems. I've never done the honeybee thing, so That'll be another one of those firsts. So I'm a little distracted this morning, even by trees. I'm not quite sure why, but I'm just forgetting to check chat, say hello, people. The other side of it is I'm also in a constant state of feeling like I'm going to sneeze. So I'm hoping that just gets itself over with pretty soon because I'm getting sick and tired of it. Sick and tired of being sick and tired, isn't that how that goes? Alright. Let's not be stuck up a tree when it gets to be too dark. Yay. Okay, it's the end of that row. Take a quick nap. Oops. All right. So I'm curious to know, for people who have read a few mystery genre books, what are some of your favorite books, movies, characters, that sort of thing? And we talked about some of my favorites, and that people like Dadcraft have trouble pronouncing them. But I'd like to hear a little bit about some of yours, or what are some of the other kinds of things you guys read? Oh, some people are into technical manuals, some people are into sci-fi. There's a lot of sci-fi in my house. Nothing wrong with sci-fi, but just there's a lot of sci-fi going on in my house. So, we have, my kids are quite into Star Wars, so we do watch a fair bit of that. My son was reading some of the Timothy Zahn Star Wars books. Congratulations, Stone Reminder. Sticky situation. Which achievement is that? That is jump into a honey block to break your fall. Trying to get onto a slime block. Interesting method. Last season on Dadrock, I know that one of the members had built on Dadcraft's Bedrock patron server. I know one of the members had built a bouncy castle out of slime blocks, which is kind of fun. I mean, I don't think you really could get very high on the bouncy castle. 1, 2, 3. I think you built one, Brian, and then there was, you had one that we built here, and then there was another one on Bedrock. And actually, it inspired me last season when I was building a fire station. I didn't bother counting that. When I was building a fire station, I ended up going with a slime block based patch trampoline for the fire people to use, which made it really a lot of fun to jump off the roof. Actually, I had quite a blast with that. Yeah, it scared the snot out of me, though. I mean, that's because I'm not a huge fan of heights. Zerk and I seem to share that in common, and it was very fast, but it was not a full drop. It wasn't like one of those drops of doom type of amusement park locales. It was just jumping off the roof. But I can't remember how many stories it was. 20 at least, possibly more. it was neat because you have a nice little bounce at the end. And it's a little fun landing route. Something I hadn't really thought of before as a way of using things like that. Oh, looks like I have a visitor. Oh, goodbye. Uh-huh. There's a hole in the ground. Dear Dylan, dear Dylan. Do you actually already have the contraption from build height to bedrock? You can probably answer the age-old question for curiosity's sake. Are you actually able to fly out of a hole that's been all the way down to the new bedrock? Because I've seen people try, but I haven't. Well, it's in with that flying category. I haven't tried that myself. Yes, you can. I'm not very social with my visitors. But if you come in with green skin, you might get the side eye. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of players wandering around in dead skins this season. Or undead skins. So most of the time, we get a warmer reception than that, but I think I'm still a little miffed at yesterday. I figured I would get away with being able to have only 2 farmers this season. And I wasn't too picky on what they turned up as when I built or leveled them up in the first place. So it turned out I have a beet villager, and I'm not growing any beets. And then I've got a potato villager. But Murphy's Law, the zombies that showed up yesterday, decided that they were only going to drop a carrot for me. But really, you guys, couldn't you drop something that I actually had? Up to this point, every time I'd ever had a zombie drop something for me, it had always, without exception, been a potato. So that's kind of what I planned for, and they gave me a carrot. Oh well. I mean, farmer villagers are a dime a dozen. Access a cave under my base. I missed the why I would want to do that. Just somehow wasn't paying fully attention, I'm afraid. Okay, so we've got some more. We've got some more oak, so before I chop that other batch down, we want to chop it and then naturally grow the next run. And then we'll take a run back to the library and see if we can put in some more flooring. But we're starting to wind down the build for the day. Only build the stream for the day. I'm only got 2 hours at a shot to get at this point when I'm fighting off the cold. We'll see if I do more than that later on, but I think at this point I'm just going to stick to 2. So for those of you that are curious, my regular schedule will be Mondays is off, so we have Tuesdays and Thursdays that we'll have Minecraft off of Dadcraft's Java patron server, and then on Wednesdays is Whatever Wednesday, which will be something other than Minecraft, and at this point in time it's Planet Zoo. So we did a couple of tours yesterday, and we may start out with one more tour, but I'm thinking I might just go into a sandbox mode so that everything is unlocked, and then build a little bit of a something to show off some of the new creatures that they've got going. And that way we can show off some of the styles and prefabs and so on. But in any case, so Wednesdays are still the same time slot. We're going to be doing, in Mountain Time, that's 10 till 12, 10 a.m. till 12 noon. So for those of you that want to do conversions, easiest way I think about it is I'm GMT -7 in most of the year. And so that means 2 hours later in the day for Eastern time and so forth. And I don't expect this channel to go gangbusters. I really appreciate any support that anyone's willing to give, and anytime anyone's willing to drop in for a bit of a chitter chatter. But it's not critical. I'm it's just, I guess where I'm coming from is that it seems to me like there's a great push these days for people who are streaming to suddenly hit it big and have a gazillion followers and, make partner or something, and then they can get tips and points and stuff. And it's like, I'm enjoying sharing this with you guys. This is why I do what I do. As I've said many times, I would be playing anyways, and I'm often playing even when I'm not streaming. But I figured if I'm going to play, I might as well stream it too. Today, when I do rarely end up either in a solo world or just alone on the server, or far from anybody else on the server, it helps keep things a little bit more interesting to me as a player without the feeling that I'm quite sort of alone on my own. It's also easier to explain some builds when the opportunity has been seen, to see them in progress, as opposed to just simply waiting till screenshots are shared elsewhere. So if you guys decide that you do need to leave me an offline message, you can either DM me or catch me in Dadcraft's Discord, which is usually Discord73, and I'll just throw up his server one more time here. You're always welcome to like and follow if you do that, and I will be archiving successful streams at YouTube, so you can always throw me a comment there or drop me an email. So we have Delenn_Russell both on Twitch and YouTube, and the email just doesn't have the underscore in it, so it's DelennRussell@gmail.com. Just as we wind up here, let's take one more look. Let's drop some junk, clean this up, and finish ourselves up. Start having a nap first, but finish ourselves up over at the library. Oops, so running over. The hole in the ground that is the library. And there we are. All right. So I'm appreciative of everybody's likes and follows and showing up in tips, tricks, commentary. There is hopefully some more builds to come this season that will be big. They're bigger than I'm used to anyways, so if you want to come along for the ride of me experiencing some of these firsts, you're very, very welcome to do so. As always, I am Delenn Russell, and I am a couple minutes early, but I think I will finish it out and let you guys be ready for whatever the next portion of your day is at the top of the hour. Always pleased to have everyone aboard, and thanks for joining me.